When we talked about the last two referendums, we all agreed that the science and the tech ed were very important to us. I just can't see why just one classroom is going to be enough for Mr. Commotion at this point. I want to make sure that we're not going to strap a future board and future school and children with enough just for a point and come back and just say, 5 years, we don't have enough money to do more tech ed class or more, I think we need to look at this as Kevin and had stated earlier as well.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion from the board?
I think tabling this is quite honestly a cowardly move, because we are charged with making decisions for the leadership of this district and charged with making decisions for the betterment of the education of the children that make up this district. The science department touches every aspect of a human being's life. You go through the science department, you understand prescription drugs, or at least a working knowledge of what happens when the doctor prescribes drugs to you. You understand when you have a job about mixing cleaning chemicals. You understand about mixing chemicals that create treatments and coatings and things like that in the real world. You go through science, you understand safety, you understand how things work in the kitchen, just making food. Science touches every single aspect of a child's life. We are providing them with a substandard area to understand and learn science. We are limiting the opportunities that these children have to gain knowledge and to advance their knowledge. I stand diametrically opposed to further continuing to walk away from the needs of the science department. I condemn these actions. We have an opportunity in front of us that has zero tax impact. And if the board members really feel that that's what we should do, is leave this problem lie, you should reevaluate why you're on this board.
Further discussion from the board. We have a motion and a second. Hearing none, we'll go to vote. Roll call vote.
Tomchuk,
No.
Zebro,
Yes.
Alice,
No.
Gewis,
Yes.
Gorman,
Yes.
Kaiser,
No.
Krautkramer,
Yes.
Theo,
Yes.
5 yes.
3 no.
Can
Motion
we-
passes.
Can we define what we'd like to see in the, when it comes back?
I would like to discuss that right now and understand what as a board we need regarding further information so that we can make a decision next week.
They need to contact their puppet masters.
Corey, we're independent as board members.
Yeah.
We act as
I
a
don't
board.
believe that.
We act as one when a vote is made. We need to act as one. There's no-
When in the last years has the board acted as one?
I thought we all acted as one with the referendum, but you may stand opposed to that too, but we don't need to get into that.
I guess I just need to know a little more about the financial. I'm waiting for.
I don't think that,
I-
one
I-
comment, I don't think this board cares very much about science. And we care very much about improving our science. I think what I'm hearing from the tablers is I want to understand it more. I'm going to make a decision. I just need some more information. And what I'm asking for is, what information is that?
The financial advisor is here. What else, what do we need? He's here tonight to answer any questions.
What other proposals financially can we consider? You know, I'll be honest, I got this much. I got his proposal with a couple terms. And I don't know, is there other options out there? You have one opinion with one individual, and yes, he's a professional in the area. I would seek other school districts that have a similar situation. What creative way can we bring to the table? Don't want to walk away from the $4.5 million. I want to know what's behind it. I want to know in 2 years we're going to have another $6 million, and it's going to be this. Even if it's a ballpark figure, right now we can't sell out for other needs. We need to sustain our science initiatives. We also need to sustain our infrastructure here for everything. That's the issue here. So what's behind the capital expense?
Okay, we do feel that we can make this payment, Kevin. It's a $310. You have a financial advisor who we
Okay.
fired.
And in
a
3 years, are you going to have
business
another initiative in front of us for more infrastructure changes? The answer is yes, you are. How are you going to fund those?
The may not. We identified in CISA 10
When
that
we look
this
at your
is our
strategic
highest and our
plan,
biggest,
it
yes, I
tells us
did
this.
look at our strategic plan. And this is our biggest need. You identified CISA, who we paid $30,000 to, identified this as
Yeah,
our
out of all
top
the
need.
items that are on that list, how
Yes.
many of them will be completed with this initiative? How many need to be further addressed? That isn't answered, Ann, because you didn't bring it to the table here today.
Okay, we did, so let's go ahead and take a look at, if you want to look at
We made the
that.
motion, we can bring it back to the table, I appreciate that.
So what do you want? You want to see,
Well, It's on there.
And for your own personal state of mind, let them tell them what they need. Because they can't explain it.
I would just like to, with Mr. Commotion's from, make sure that that's gonna be enough for him and the longevity. I mean, last referendum, we really wanted to add on to his area as well. Let's make sure that's covered. You know, and how long is that gonna be covered before we come back and take a look at that? You know, I think that's fantastic looking what they want to do with the science, and I went through with Mr. Lehman just the other day, and I understand the needs are there, very much so, but I wanna make sure, A, that we have everything covered. We're not gonna come back in 2 months, say we need to do this for another X amount of millions of dollars. Let's make sure we have everything covered. I don't think waiting 1 month is gonna be the end of the world.
And Corey, you can assume whatever you want, what people do for what the reasonings are. But if you don't hear what the reasonings are, I feel too.
It's a two-way
this-
street.
I know, Corey, I have no problem with that. That's why I'm speaking. And what we need to do is kind of, nobody said anything anyway as far as I know about not doing science. I guess we just need a minute to breathe and think and look and make sure we got it all covered correctly.
I need to know specifically, what is the question you're asking for? What is the financial question that you want answered so that our team can answer it for you? What is the question? What's the question?
I kind of agree with why do we have to make that decision this night now?
You don't have to, but if this
Matter of
is
fact, you
tabled,
didn't.
then I'm coming back to you with answers.
Because
What-
I'm gonna sit and I'm gonna look and I'm gonna hear and I'm gonna listen.
Why didn't you do that prior to this meeting or tonight? What is wrong? What did they miss in that presentation that doesn't allow you to make a decision?
Corey, I got my package 3 days ago.
I got it in the email a week ago.
Well,
okay, I'm gonna try to,
Yeah.
what I think I'm hearing is, we're gonna have needs beyond this. We wanna make sure we're
right.
fiscally sound to address additional needs, whether it be locker rooms. Is that what?
Absolutely.
There is no way.
But I can't answer that.
There's no
I
way you're
can't-
going to, as a board, sit and talk about sports needs if we can't provide education needs. That's
I
off the
need
table.
a specific question. What is the question? Because you have a facility priority matrix that outlines everything that you need. It's there. It's outlined.
So,
It's
Okay,
labeled
and-
1 through whatever.
the community asks, how come we went to the referendum? How come we didn't come up with this option before? Answer that question, the community.
Brent, Bring us
It wasn't mine to bring
No.
forward. We had
Well,
CISA.
that's
and
the
we-
reality, that's the question, and it's a real one.
okay, let's start with this. We think we can,
Well, I want to address
I- I-
Kevin's, Kevin, and you're on one side, you're saying, we got to worry about all these other stuff. And on the other side, you're questioning why we didn't come up with this option before the
If it
referendum.
was- if it
The
went that far
referendum covered everything,
But
Kevin.
if it went that
Read
deep
the
on the list-
CISA list.
If it went that deep on the list, well, why wouldn't we have this earlier? Why wouldn't we have this option earlier then?
You
Because it
could've.
takes time to build the case, Kevin.
So, and it takes
You
time to
can't read the
understand all
CISA
this
10
and figure out a
report
plan
to figure
moving
out what
forward.
goes on in the referendum. You display that time and time again. It's like you hide from it, or maybe you can't figure it out, open on the computer. But that report's there, and that is the bulk of what the referendum was. I'm not gonna let you talk on both sides of your face, Mr. Thiel.
This is just the
Please
first.
be
item.
control, President. If this is not professional, I'd ask people to leave.
Tell me we're unprofessional. We're in a point of discussion. The board gets to discuss the facts and the decisions in front of them. If you don't like to be challenged, then you leave.
This is the first item on the CISA 10 report. This is the first item. This is the first item that we identified for this school year to address when we did our facility planning. We identified our special ed classroom, which we tackled and we did. The second thing that we were going to address this year was this issue. That's where it fits in our priority. That's where it fits in our plan. So what question can I answer for you for the next time?
Okay, so how deep is that list?
It's the entire school district. It's the
Okay.
entire, it's a CISA report that we had done, and the list lays out all of the issues that we have.
Which will still be there.
Certainly, many of them will be.
Yes.
They will still be there, but what we decided to do was to lay out what first. What can we tackle?
And we will
Either
have the
through
financial
fund
burden
balance,
with this initiative potentially, right? That will not go away for 10 or 20 years
correct.
with
So we-
other needs 2 to 3 years by working
So
down.
what do you think is most important, Mr. Field?
It's not relevant. What I think is most important, I'm trying to
That's
look at.
correct.
I'm looking at the
Well,
financial
that's a correct statement,
responsibilities
Mr.
today
Field.
and 3 years from now.
That's a very correct statement, Mr. Field. It is the priority of the leadership of this district to present plans that address the needs within the scope of the ability of the district. And I think they've done a great job of that tonight. And I fail to understand why this board cannot seem to cognitively understand information presented to it over and over again to come to a decision.
Be careful, because now you're, when you say cognitive, Corey, you're calling into the intelligence of the board, and I don't appreciate that.
Gee,
Because we're all here,
I wouldn't have thought of that.
yeah.
I
No, I
think
do have a
that,
Here's-
formal request. I have a
I just
formal
want to
request.
understand what
Can I make a formal
you don't
request?
want me to
Yes.
answer.
Let
I'm
Ann
gonna
have
make
the
this-
floor, Kevin, I will go to you next.
I would appreciate sending this videotape of this session to a professional in the WASB system to make an analysis on whether we conduct ourselves civil or not civil, and that we handle ourselves appropriate for a board.
Ann has the floor.
I just want to understand what you need.
well, I think,
So-
that, you know, looking at your report that you have up there, and it's very good, and to say that the report wasn't given very well by the staff is incorrect. They did a wonderful job. I think what I would like to grasp a little bit is you've got the referendum proposed, the, moving it in that block at the $1.7 million versus the 4. What I want to make sure, between those two differences, by doing so, is this going to be enough for Mr. Commotion's room for how long? Give me a forecast for that. I mean, I think both reports were fantastic. Yes, I'd love to see the addition, but, okay, we're going to cover this and this, and it's going to be covered. It's also going to take off this, this, and this out of the matrix. So now, coming back, Mr. Commotion's room is going to be set for X month. The social studies, the other rooms, taking the portables out. Let's see that in the next month's report, and it would tie it all up. So does that answer your question, what we're looking for?
I guess my question in creating the report would be, are you
So-
looking for, because it's difficult, I mean, I tried to deal with more factual of, this is what we have,
Yes.
this is what it's going to turn to. My hesitancy in that is, I struggle to be factual then. It's going to be a best guess of, you know what I mean, of predicting what the CTE needs are 5 years from now. So I'm not saying it can't be done, it's a separate.
Well, and it's not so much you know, like I said, we looked at that referendum and adding on that tech ed. We thought that was very important in the science labs. Is this going to give him enough room? Or by maybe adding on a little bit more to the 4-point, we can do this? That's what I want to see.
So we talked a little bit about that because we got to the financial end, and we felt bringing forward to you a payment that we could make was important. If I felt that we could take out 10 million and make that payment, we'd have that in front of you. This is what we felt that we could financially handle, is this type of a payment. So honestly, Diane, if I could add to Steve, remember that in the referendum we had more square footage on him, we would. But we did not think that we could handle that financial burden that would bring going over 4.2 million. We felt that we could handle that budget. And our number one priority to fix was our science. That was our number one priority to fix, was the science. So if we want to go on and say our next priority is to go ahead and fix Steve's area or what area, we don't have that capacity right now to be able to do that with no tax impact and to be able to sustain that within our budget.
Okay, so then in essence, I guess looking back at, if we were looking at just fixing the 3 classrooms, you know, now we brought out a bigger portion by adding on. So that's the difference. So I guess looking at it, that I would like to wrap my head around this a little bit more by looking at it and trying to, and like I said, one more month, I want to make sure we're going to make the right decision, not just for right now, but future, you
I
know.
can just say that when I talked to Steve about having his own classroom, he was very happy to have his own classroom. He did not say, oh, can we add on to my room too? He said, now I'm gonna have more space for my projects.
The message here, quite honestly, shouldn't be that we don't recognize the benefits. The whole team clearly identified the benefits. This is other things as well. And what I do expect it to come back next month. I don't expect the table to slip. That has happened here. I'd be disappointed if it did.
I don't
So
think
you
there's
don't-
anyone on the board who doesn't support correcting the science best. What I'm hearing is, it's understanding 1.2 million versus 4.2. If it was 1.2 million and that was our only option, we probably would have moved
I guess
forward with
we're-
it tonight. It's, what else do you need to understand the differences?
We're gonna meet, so we don't know what to bring back to you the next meeting. If you just say to me, I just need time, then that's fine. If you have all the information that you need and you just need time, that's fine. Because I don't know what other information I would bring forward to you.
I'll be glad
One
to give that
request-
to you in a memo. Quite honestly, give me a week. I'll have a couple items that are going to value to us to have at least further discussion on, have more information on.
One request I have, Brent, what does a 20-year look of Fund 73 look like, taking $6 million out of it? You know, what position does it put us in? Maybe it's an actuary that has to take a look at it, that can determine, you know, what our retirement rate's going to be over those 20 years, to understand what does it look like 20 years from now. 20 years from now is a long time. Could-
I mean, you're
Is that-
not, you're saying take out, that isn't really accurate.
Well,
You're
you-
putting less in.
You're not
Putting
putting
less
in
in.
as much.
Yeah, I mean, that is a sizable difference. We
Putting less in, I'm not,
take it out.
takeout was the wrong word, thank you for
Do
correcting.
you know what I mean?
It's less funding to that fund. It's decreasing funding to that fund by $300,000 a year over 20 years. Do we,
I can talk to the actuary about that.
that'd be helpful. Anything else, requests that come to mind after the meeting, feel free to contact me. Anything else regarding item 8A? I'm going to move on then to item 8B, which is discussion and possible decision, security updates, security cameras and PA system.
So just to give you an update on, this is something that's been in discussion in prior meetings, security updates, things that we as a team feel are vital to kind of moving our school forward on a few key initiatives. Again, going back to our CISA 10 report, one of the key areas is aiding our security. Obviously, this is a large onion of a project when you talk about things like secure vestibules and entrances to our building. The area that we feel we can tick off the easiest, and I guess the main point that I want to make on this, I understand the significance and the importance of the secure entrances, but on a daily basis, on a weekly basis, my team, the tech department, is working with administration, and the number one thing that we're using at our disposal is the security cameras. So vestibules are important, but the cameras are a day-to-day thing that we require. I would say, you know, every couple of days, Mr. Grevinger, our police liaison officer, Mr. Sweeney, Mr. Reinschmidt, we're checking cameras. That is really our front line of defense. So giving you just an idea of the overall camera, go on to the next. We know the vestibules. Right now, our camera system is analog. If you know, not to get into the basic ideas of it, we operate on an analog camera system. What it basically means is a poor camera signal. You can go on to the next slide. Onto a poor camera signal and really a poorer range of what our cameras. We take, just like you have in your house, if you've got cable TV, the old analog signals coming in, we convert them to a digital signal, and we pipe that back to our administrators and to our tech office. The proposal here is to switch to a completely digital system. The increases are obviously a higher quality camera, and the ability to scale is really key. So if somebody in Mr. Greminger's seat is doing something and I need a closer view on their head. Right now when we scale in, you get that pixelized view of like 6 little dots of that's Scott's head back there. On a digital camera, I have the ability to zoom in, highlight that scale, and actually keep the higher quality of the picture with a digital view. The other thing we gain is multi-angle cameras. So right now we have basically single view cameras. We gain the ability to have multi-angle, in some spots 2, in some spots 4 cameras coming off of a location. If you go on to the next stuff here. So the overall, if the quotes are in there, but the overall idea, we've got 2 proposals that Brent got. One of them is if my team runs the wires, so all of these cameras run off cat line. That's what runs your access points. It's what you plug in when you're wired in on a computer. And that Cat 6 line is run through your ceilings, run through, through the corridors. The proposals you see in front of you are wires run by the company that would install the cameras, Systems Technologies, for a total of $71,006. A proposal done with my team working with our maintenance team to do the cameras on our own, or to not do the cameras, to do the wiring on our own, and then Systems just comes in and does the cameras. That's a savings, a pretty significant savings of about $10,000. I've had discussions with Brent and with Ann of my team's availability to do that. We would come in when school wasn't present. We would work opposite hours to make that happen, because I feel like it's a significant cost savings that we can incur by just doing the project, parts of the project in-house. So the proposal is for the approval of the $61,030 for us to do the wiring in-house and have Systems come in and do the camera setup and those pieces. The other significant thing just to throw at you, right now the elementary school has no camera system, so it's an installation of a camera system, and it's an upgrade of the middle school, high school systems. Other keys to this are we keep the same company, we keep the same software, which is why you don't see proposals from other companies here, because it would then require a huge undertaking of going back out, getting another company's software, another company's it would open up, a large-scale project where right now we're able to keep it as a pretty, finalized, in-a-box walkout project. You want to do that one first? You want to do the camera one separate? So okay, all right. I'm on a roll right now.
Well,
So
each one is a different board motion.
you want to do the separate ones, or do you want to do them all together?
Keep going.
Okay. So PA system is obviously our public address system that runs throughout the buildings. It goes beyond just simply making announcements for the school day. It's also what any emergency evacuations are tied to. It's a pretty significant deal. Right now we have a pretty aging PA system. It was identified on CISA 10 report that this is something that needs to be upgraded. If you go on to the next slide, you can see the picture. So the PA system is essentially the large box you see here. The module that essentially would be replaced is the simplex, which runs our clocks, our PAs for the middle school and high school. It also, kind of like what we talked about with the systems technology, this proposal would allow us to continue to use the amps, wiring, some speakers that we have, so we don't need a full system replacement. Right now, our current PA system, the one that we are operating on, the simplex, about a year ago, we had systems technology come in order to upgrade our system to keep it functioning, because it stopped functioning, our technician got on the phone, called the technician over on the east side of the state, because he had parts for our old simplex in the back of his van that he had taken out of another school. So we bought a cord off somebody's school district in the eastern part of the state last year, just to keep ours up and running right now. So it's a pretty significant upgrade. The other big piece for Steve and his crew is the clock upgrade. Right now, Steve, do you want to explain that maybe a little better than what I would explain it?
Sure. Our clocks are hardwired into that system, but what we'd also be putting in with the new system would be actually a digital system, so a broadcast at time to the whole building, because we're really tied to those clocks that cost a lot more money. So as they would die out, we would actually switch them out to the clocks that we have in this building, and they're basically tied to the digital system, and they're always being updated.
So essentially it emits a digital signal, and those clocks pick up that signal wirelessly then and upgrade or update themselves by time. Right now, you're really tied to wherever that clock is, wherever those wires are coming out, that's where that clock's gonna be.
And you're trying to simplex system, so.
Yeah. So the simplex system, if you go on to the next one here, the simplex total project cost to replace that simplex module. The item was budgeted in last year's budget. The proposal came in to basically upgrade and replace components of that system at the high school and middle school, a little under the budget at $33,845. So the proposal would be to essentially approve the upgrading of the high school and middle school PA simplex system. Steve, order time of being able to get it in and done?
Actually, I'm gonna push this hard, our goal is to go over Christmas. If I can swing it, that's a great goal, but I gotta roll with that really quick because everybody's scheduled out, so.
So those would be the two items.
The PA system, would you be able to, like some school districts can just hit like gym area? Like, in certain areas where you're not gonna hit for the full school?
You can zone it.
Yeah, you can
Okay.
zone, yep.
Yeah.
And we've got components of that already in place, but there are some further steps we can take now with being able to zone specific rooms. Like the elementary school has, probably the cat's meow of that, where you're talking specific rooms and really, zoning into.
So item number 8B is a discussion and possible decision. We've seen the numbers. Anyone want to move forward with a motion?
I'll make a motion.
I'll second.
Motion by Kiewit, second by Thiel, for security updates to include security cameras and the PA system.
Yes.
As presented.
Further discussion from the board.
Any adjustments and or changes in the future will be handled by you, Steve?
I'm sorry?
Any changes wired wise?
Yeah, actually one of the benefits to the system too is not knowing where we're gonna navigate to. My question always is to any vendor that's doing work in our facility is, if I need to expand, I need to do something here or there, if we're gonna grow everything.
Things are gonna change, you bet.
Yeah, I have options on my team system to expand where we wanna go with it. And like Brady said, I can reutilize my amps, a lot of my core wire to do that. So I'd like that idea, otherwise.
To give you just some perspective, a total simplex replacements are usually north of $100,000. So we're able to secure a lot of savings off of using parts that are still fully functioning.
Thank you.
Anything further from the board? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Item 8C is, thanks, Brady.
Brady's still on, he's
still on.
gonna be our presenter
Oh, you get
too.
the point job.
It was
This is
a strong.
Point man. This-
It was a strong.
Is this
Next
straw
week
time?
it's Nate, next month it's Nate. All right. Item 8C is discussion and possible decision, facility planning, high school gym floors, bleachers, and main gym paving.
So as we put the presentation together for this, essentially the three projects, I'll just kind of individually lay out. Obviously, these were budgeted items in this year's budget. The budget was a $271,000 roughly. There's obviously the need to replace, and it's been in our CISA 10 report, the need to replace and upgrade some of these systems. I would say in conversations with Brent and Ann and our vendors, the idea is a lot of these projects are really tied together and dovetailed together. That's why these three projects are being presented together. It doesn't make sense to do one of them without doing them together, because the timing of them is very critical. The timing of when these reports would happen. So again, highlighting through the CISA 10 report, the second thing that was brought up there was the need to upgrade some of our gymnasiums. Not all of these items in the CISA 10 report are covered. Obviously, there's areas of storage that are not addressed in this upcoming proposal, but some of the ADA compliance, some of the obviously the aesthetics of it are covered with what the CISA 10 report outlined. So starting with the gym floor, the first of the three projects, three vendors were contacted. A bid was secured at the best rate from Baseman Brothers. The proposal for work, again, these timelines are very sensitive of when things would happen, would be May through about July 4th. And again, the basic idea is the floors being essentially replaced. The second big piece to this is the bleachers being replaced. We've obviously had some failed bleacher inspections, and our bleachers are going on about 60 years old right now. Significance of this, again, the ADA, the Americans with Disabilities Act. Right now, our bleachers do not have ADA compliance. You pick up that. Obviously, gaining newer bleachers that will pass safety inspections here. Again, 3 vendors were contacted with the bid being secured lowest from Irwin at roughly $92,500.
Is that basically what ours will look like with the railings?
So ours won't be the full scale. This is a 2 set essentially. Ours is smaller, a 1 set, but essentially the same material, color, design ideas to that. A pretty significant upgrade to.
But they will have the railings like in our.
Yep.
Correct, they'll have
Yeah.
railings, they'll have, yeah. So right now, if you've been to ours, we struggle to have the railing, you know,
We
you're
don't
walking up the bleachers essentially.
Brent, should we tell them the neat thing about the ADA? The
Yeah,
pull-out?
they're actually a pull-out drawer, so if somebody would come to a game and be in a wheelchair, the front sections and spots will push in, or if you don't have anybody in wheelchairs, you can leave them pulled out.
So like in these areas, you basically
Push it in
gain
and
the
pull it
ability to push an area in and have a wheelchair slid back into an area so it fits in line with the rest
Pull
of
it
the
out,
bleacher.
it would be another.
Yeah,
And you have the rows that are desperately needed that we don't currently have.
yeah. So the basics are, yes, it's just essentially a half the size of it. And then the third big piece that ties into this, and again, you can see the entire scope of the project needing to be done kind of at the same time, is painting. And painting would basically cover right now the wall areas being done, any door varnish, paint that needs to be done, the duct work, a stripe, some basic coloring that goes around it, and then the logo, you know, the timing of things depending on where the mascot piece goes. The basic logo, the basic designs of that would be included in that winning bid as well. The winning bid from, the lowest bid from Omni Glass at $18,375. So essentially taking those 3 projects, again, the budgeted items were for about $271,000. The total of those projects being secured at about $255,000, $255,369 for those 3 proposed items. And again, they're being brought to you together as an item for approval.
Is the ductwork currently painted in high school?
No, it is not.
Do we want it painted? It's just more maintenance, but I work in an industry where less paint is better. Just chips and flakes.
I guess it would, you know, from a perspective of aesthetics, I think it would look
Look
nice
better.
painted, like in the Kresge gym that's painted.
Okay,
They just
okay.
didn't paint it in that gym. We're gonna do it purple matte is what we were talking, so kind of give it a pizzazz, I guess you'd say.
Little stripe.
Yeah, nice. And the floor is the padded floor like we have in elementary school where water and,
Yep.
yeah, I confirmed that tonight with Mr. Kaiser, but I want to balance the board. No. It's okay.
Yeah, I'll make the motion for the new, what do we have? The high school gym, for the bleachers and the rest of the projects. Bleachers, gym floor and